Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video features the Tier 10 Commonwealth destroyer, the Vampire II. The Vampire is based on a daring class destroyer and was one of the largest and most powerful destroyers ever built in Australia. The Vampire will be available for 55,000 research points in the Research Bureau, starting from the 22nd or 23rd of April, depending on the region you play in. Now, I know a lot of players will be disappointed about this, as it does make it a little bit more difficult to add the Vampire to your port, as there is a lot more of regrinding lines required to do so. That being said, the Vampire is, in my opinion, as good as it sounds. Being a big fan of the Royal Navy destroyers, like the Jutland and Daring, I've been looking forward to the Vampire, and I've had a real blast playing with it during testing. The Vampire II is all about gunpowder, and if you like that gunboat style of destroyer gameplay, then you will love the Vampire, I'm sure. So let me start by putting up the build I've been refining during testing. What might immediately catch your attention is the smoke generator mod in slot 3, which extends the action time of the crawling smoke generator by 30%, and combined with the X-ray Papa Una 1 signal flag, it increases it even further up to an impressive 134 seconds. The Vampire does get very good hydro acoustic search, which can detect ships at 5 kilometers and torpedoes at 3.5 kilometers, but I've chosen not to use the hydro acoustic search mod in slot 2 and go for damage control instead. As the Vampire is a daring hull, it rides high in the water, and I did find high explosive spam to cause issues. So I've chosen to try and reduce that fire chance as much as possible. As I mentioned before, it's a daring hull. So let's have a quick look at the armor layout here on screen. It gets the standard DD armor of 19mm hull and deck armor and the superstructure of 13mm. But unlike the Daring, the Vampire also gets access to the engine boost consumable. I really like this addition as it gave me the ability to run down and hunt those sneaky retreating destroyers, but also the added flexibility of fast retreat in case of getting outnumbered or pushed hard, allowing you to fall back and relocate quickly, which is a huge quality of life improvement over the Daring. Not only does it increase the Vampire's offensive capabilities, but also very useful when it comes to the ship's survivability, being able to extricate yourself from dangerous positions. When it comes to the Vampire's survivability, it gets 23,300 hit points, and this is when using Survivability Expert, of course. But unlike the Daring, the Vampire does not get a repair party. It's on a par with other Tier 10 destroyers, just a tiny bit less than the Z-52, for example. Not getting the repair party, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more base HP. Not having the repair party is another reason I prefer the damage control mod in slot 2, as you don't have the option to repair even light fire damage, so reducing the risk of fire as much as possible really helps. I've already mentioned the firepower of the Vampire, so let's look at these main battery guns. The Vampire gets 6 113mm guns in 3 dual mounted turrets with a ferocious 2.1 second reload and a max firing range of 12.8 kilometers with a max dispersion of 111 meters at max range, Just for comparison, that's a 0.2 second faster reload than the Daring. This is a full DPM setup using both the reload mod in slot 6 and the Captain Skill main battery AA specialist. These turrets have a fast 180-degree turning time of 7.2 seconds and can fire both high explosive and armor piercing rounds. Vampire's high explosive can inflict a max damage of 1700 and can penetrate 19mm of armor with a base fire chance of 8%, which can be further enhanced to 9% by mounting both signal flags India X-Ray and Victor Lima. Vampire's armor-piercing rounds can inflict a max damage of 2100 and have the same qualities of the Daring's armor-piercing, with both improved ricochet angles and enhanced penetration, making the Vampire a very dangerous opponent indeed. I was personally very impressed with the DPM from these guns. Even when fully angled and only using the front two turrets, I really had the impression of melting opponents at times, which felt very nice indeed. Both of Vampire's shell types have the exact same shell speed of 746 meters per second, so one can seamlessly swap between ammo types, depending on the target and how angled your opponent is, and no adjustments are needed when leading the target. This ferocious gunpower does come at a cost, however, when it comes to its torpedoes. The Vampire only gets one X5 torpedo launcher, with a max firing range of 12 kilometers, with a torpedo speed of 62 knots. These torpedoes can be single launched, just like the Royal Navy destroyers, and while missing the second launcher compared to the Daring, these torpedoes do hit very hard indeed, with a max damage of 19,500. The 12-kilometer range is very useful, and they can only be detected at 1.3 kilometers, and they definitely provide enough damage threat to make any opponent wary of attempting to rush down your position when you are smoked up. The Vampire gets an AA rating of 52 with 6 40mm Bofors guns, with 2 dual mounted and 2 single mounted AA guns, which is further augmented by the main battery guns, which double up as AA guns. All combined, they pump out an average continuous damage of 143, which is equally divided between mid and long range damage. They can fire 4 flak explosions per salvo with a max damage of 1610. They have a hit probability of 100% and a max firing range of 5.8 kilometers. Vampire's best defense against aircraft, however, is her low detectability range from the air, which is just 2.7 kilometers, and the long-lasting crawling smoke generator. When it comes to maneuverability, the Vampire does feel quite solid. It comes, like the Royal Navy destroyers, with enhanced propulsion built in and a base speed of 35 knots, which can be increased to 36.8 knots with the Sierra Mike signal flag, and even faster to almost 40 knots when the engine boost is active and sailing in a straight line. The Vampire has a turning circle radius of 630 meters and a rudder shift time of 3.5 seconds, and that is using the steering gears mod in slot 4. The Vampire feels pretty good in the turn, drifting well and not losing a lot of speed in subtle turns, and the engine boost feels like a huge performance boost compared to the daring. So finally, stats wise, we come to the Vampire's concealment rating of 91 with a full stealth build using both module, captain skill and permanent camouflage, which equates to a surface detection range of 5.8 kilometers by enemy ships and 2.7 kilometers by enemy aircraft, which is outstanding for a gunboat destroyer. For comparison with other popular gunboats like Smaland at 6.1 and Daring at 6 kilometers, it's a very nice concealment edge, allowing you to dictate engagements to your advantage. All in all, the Vampire feels like a Daring on steroids, and I had a lot of fun playing it during testing. The only downside I experienced with the Vampire was with the crawling smokescreen, and it was the actual size of the smoke puffs. Because you are always at the center of the last puff, even when moving, smart players can quite easily judge your position and blind fire the exact center of the smoke, even when you're not firing. One can only move at 1/4 speed to remain concealed in this smoke, and should you reverse too fast, you can also get detected, as the smoke puffs don't quite keep up to speed as you're reversing. A minor complaint, but one that you should be aware of. But for the rest, I found the Vampire to be a fantastic fun destroyer to play, and I think it will be quite popular. I'm not really a big fan of the Research Bureau. Well, it's more the regrinding part I don't like, but I'm going to have to reset some lines myself to grind out the necessary research points, because I do consider the Vampire an absolute must-have ship in my port. So I hope this video was able to provide you some useful information about the brand new HMAS Vampire. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that like button below. It really helps out the channel a lot, so thank you very much in advance. I stream regularly on Twitch, so feel free to come on over and say hi, or just simply hang out for some chilled out live gameplay. You can see the link here on screen and find it in the video description below. I look forward to seeing you all. I'd like to thank you once again all for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Take a moment to check out some of my most recent videos and leave a comment below. And until the next time, keep sailing it like you stole it.